Hey guys, welcome back. I like this gun. It looks cool, sounds cool, has a cool concept, and can get you some fun kills. But nobody else does. The Diamondback's name is just mud with most people, and I think that's a shame because not only is it fun to use, but it's not nearly as overpowered as some people claim. The Latranger, the stock revolver, even the Ambassador are all stronger options than the Diamondback. The narrative that it's totally busted is, in my opinion, misguided. So let's talk about it. The Diamondback grants you critical hits for backstabbed and building zapped in exchange for a damage penalty. It seems fairly straightforward. It starts out weaker than stock, but after a few kills or destructions becomes much stronger for a short time. I have never believed this weapon is too strong, but apparently I'm literally the only one. And I want to change that. So sit down, grab a snack, and get ready to become a convert to the Diamondback Collective. I'm going to tackle every argument I've seen that is used to claim this weapon is broken, starting with... This is the big one. It gets repeated word for word over and over again ever since that damn Soundsmith video, maybe earlier. The Diamondback gives you free crits just for doing what Spy does anyway. When phrases are repeated word for word like this that many times, it tells me there isn't a whole lot of thinking going on. It sounds true, but it isn't. This phrase is sneaky, because everyone focuses on the what Spy does anyway part and glazes right past the free part. Free? No, it's not free. Stabbing people and zapping buildings takes game sense, positioning, tactics, strategy, timing, and luck. You've got to manage your cloak efficiently and move carefully so you aren't revealed early. You have to find a safe spot to decloak so you aren't heard. If there are lots of people around, you have to move like an enemy player, which is the hardest part for a lot of people, get in range, hope the backstab actually registers, and then click, and now you have a single 102 damage bullet loaded in your gun for later use. But that's not going to be enough to take down most classes unless they're already injured, so most of the time you have to cloak away and hide or go for more stabs. Getting any kill as a spy is complicated, and it can go wrong at any of these steps, usually resulting in your death if it does. Spy is a constant balancing act of staying hidden versus getting as much value as possible for the team. Even with a crit or 5, you still only have 125 health. You still can't blast jump or do any crazy movement tech. Your only method of escape is running the heck away when you're in trouble, which severely limits the options of where you can go. I'm not trying to argue that the Diamondback is weak, it's quite strong in certain situations, but only in certain situations. And I think the people who refuse to use it out of principle really miss that. There is a real downside to equipping the Diamondback beyond the 15% damage penalty. It's not the Latranger. I'm gonna be honest, if there's anything in the Spy's arsenal that has way more upside than downside, it's the Latranger. For a stab-focused player, there are no situations where the Latranger isn't the best option. It basically doubles your cloak battery and can recharge it on hit. It has perfect synergy with almost every loadout you can imagine, and is the most common revolver used by Spy mains everywhere. It's everyone's favorite for a reason. Places you couldn't get to invisibly before because you would run out of time? Now you can. Need to use the Dead Ringer right now despite having just used it? Shoot somebody a few times and you'll get it back. The damage penalty on the Latranger is meaningless. When does a spy use his gun? Well, for some spies the answer is never, but for smart ones it's in two situations. One, while running away from somebody who caught you, and two, to pick off an injured fleeing target. When you're running away, you can damage the enemy and build back cloak at the same time, ensuring a clean getaway if you do it right. When picking off injured targets, well, a damage penalty is there, but it barely matters if the guy's already on his last legs and just needs a bit more damage to finish the job. Look, despite everyone saying over and over that the Diamondback has no downsides, nobody uses it. It's a rare sight to see a Diamondback spy in TF2, even rarer to see him actually getting kills with it. If it was so strong, I think people would be using it. Lots of people talk about how strong the kunai is, but the kunai is actually popular. It's a very common sight in TF2, but not the Diamondback. You might say that's due to the stigma of it being overpowered. Buddy, if Spy players cared about stigma, they wouldn't be playing Spy. Spy is the class everyone makes jokes about. You know, you're just a stinky, sweaty, weeaboo, anime-loving coke addict. It just rolls off the tongue. If anything, stigma would encourage Spy mains to use the Diamondback so they could farm more salt in the chat. But they don't. That's because for all its strengths, the Diamondback is inconsistent. It's not always there when you need it. Sometimes you pull a spectacular save out of your pocket with your last 2 shots. Other times you miss everything due to the bullet spread or bad aim and die horribly. This weapon is wonderful for farming exciting clips for frag movies, wonderful for clutch moments where you just barely kill the guy who is about to kill you. But if you want to do lots of damage with style, the Ambassador is so much better. And I know, the Ambassador got nerfed. It's weaker now. It has limited range, it fires more slowly, but somehow it's still better than the Diamondback. The Ambassador always has a damage boost so long as you land headshots. No prerequisites, no gimmicks, no need to do anything else first, on-demand high damage shots whenever you need it. If you just want to shoot people, the Ambassador is better. If you want to stab people but need a devastating backup weapon, the Ambi has your back. If you like picking off injured targets, the Ambassador is still better because you don't need to happen to have a crit stored when you run into an injured retreating player, you can just get him. But of course, the Ambassador is only consistent if you have great aim. If you can't hit heads consistently and aren't interested in taking the time to be able to do so, the stock revolver is your friend. It does lots of damage, can do everything a spy needs to with minimum effort, and is still better than the Diamondback. The Diamondback is only a straight upgrade on paper, but it just fails so often when up against teams who are spy aware. The Diamondback can't do anything against a group of attentive players because they turn around and spy check too frequently for you to build up a supply of crits. This is what happens when you actually use a weapon. You get a feel for how it works and when it doesn't, and don't just form your opinions based on the wiki stats and what people on r/TF2 say. There are almost no situations where the Diamondback is the best option to choose from, because Spy has a plethora of interesting and useful options that do more with less effort. The sad truth about the Diamondback, as much as I like it, is that it's not very useful in the context of Spy's other better unlocks. The only team you're going to crush with the Diamondback is a team you would have crushed with any other gun. It's a win more gun, but it can't help you if you aren't already doing well. I'm not going to claim it's not frustrating to fight against, but so are many balanced weapons in TF2. Dying doesn't feel great in a video game, so using your personal frustration to argue that it's too strong is kind of meaningless. Yes, it can be quite strong, it can be very powerful in specific situations, it's just that the situation in which the Diamondback is strongest is when you're against a large group of players who can't deal with a spy. And in that situation, you could also easily defeat them with any of the spy's other weapons. It's not good against good teams, and you run into those more often than not. Source: I play spy. Probably more than you do. To say the Diamondback punishes good players for having bad teammates, well, it's narcissistic for one. Oh yeah, sure, you're the only good player on your team, and Santa Claus likes you more than any other kid. But for another, this is just how Spy works. He takes advantage of mistakes and bad moves, so a gun that capitalizes on that even more makes sense. I'll say it again. If your team is being destroyed by a Diamondback Spy, they would have been equally destroyed had he been using anything else. So have a Merry Christmas, and spread this video around to bring other people into the Diamondback Collective, because we're a family here. One you can't ever leave. Goodbye!